Welcome back to Mason Makes. Today we're going to be talking about an old throwback practice assignment that I used to do. So if you guys were one of the first students that had this packet, this should look familiar. Stay tuned. Alrighty, so today we're going to be drawing a what used to be my PA number 3 cutting template design for my Onshape packet. Those of you guys that have been using my packet have been through it, and number 3 is actually a gasket. But when I first started teaching this about 6 years ago, this is the one I would give as like a, hey, you got these 2 PA practice assignment drawings figured out. Now let's kind of take you down a couple notches and make sure you're actually paying attention to every little key detail. The kids that got it ran with it and they thrived. The kids that didn't get it, it kind of discouraged them a little too much and it was harder to build them back up. So I removed this one, but I still held on to it because it's a great workout. Some things to kind of notice, just to point out right away. We will, there we go. If we take a look here, well actually here's the whole drawing. So if you guys want to take a screenshot, I'll put a link in the description for a PDF version of this, but if you want to look down here, and we're going to start with this as our origin, and we're going to go out 1/2 inch up, and then we'll add that dimension for 45 degrees. We'll go over, then we'll go down, and we'll add. But what a lot of kids usually mess up on is if we see this 1 inch, they also think that this line is 1 inch, and if we, I guess I can zoom in a little more, let me see. If we zoom in on that, you'll notice that that dimension line doesn't actually go to that. So I'm not given that that line. So as we're thinking about these things, some things to notice is that it's definitely kind of putting you in that scenario. Is what if a customer gave you a drawing and the dimensions were wrong, or they gave you dimensions that don't necessarily help you, but maybe you can piece it together. That's kind of what this design is about. So let me turn this into editing mode really quick. What we're going to do is we're going to start here and we're just going to draw a 0.5 line. Then we're going to go up and draw a line longer than it needs to be. And then we're going to draw a line out and we'll trim it. So we're going to draw here, here, then here. I am going to then come back here and draw a line, again, longer than it needs to be, and then we'll go and we'll dimension some things. So let's jump into Onshape and we'll take a look. Alright, now once you're in Onshape, we're going to start a sketch like we always do. So we're going to select that top plane, Shift and S to start a sketch, N to normalize, and P to hide those planes. And like I said, we're going to start with a line, so you can click up here on the toolbar, or you can press the line tool. We'll zoom in a little bit. We're going to go out 0.5. We'll just draw this line up. We'll draw one over. Let me move that guy out of the way. There we go. And then we're going to draw a line up here about so. Okay? So what we should have right now is this shape right here. We'll go ahead and zoom back out. We switch over to our drawing again. Right now what we have drawn is here, 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 and here. So now let's go in and add the dimensions. We already have our 0.5 added. Let's go add this 45 degree angle, and then we gotta just draw that, and we can give this dimension. So from, back up a little bit, from here to here we want to do 1. So we're going to click this line up here and this line down here, and then we're going to tell it 1 dimension. So let's go add that angle. So dimension from here, that needs to be 45, and the distance between the 2 of these needs to be 1 inch. And so you'll see these things starting to get a little messy because we got a lot of dimensions that we're throwing in here. Okay. Back in our drawing, we know that this is 1 inch. This line and this line are parallel to one another. And so how do we get that? We can do an offset I could draw a line and then add the parallel constraint, but the offset command is going to work way better for us. So we're going to click here and we're going to offset that 1 inch. Then we're going to come down here and we're going to draw this line over and then down to the right 0.25, and then we'll go in and angle these things as well. So switching back over, we're going to do this offset from here, and we're going to accept it. We're going to tell that 1 inch. And now from this point, what we need to do is trim off our excess. So I didn't give you a length on how long I wanted either of these lines, but you just needed to know that if I did this and then drew it and then angled it and then offset it, I could then trim off that excess. So that's kind of the idea behind this drawing, is what are you given without kind of being spoon-fed the answer or the dimension. So right now we'll go ahead and highlight, and we have this drawn, this drawn, this drawn, this drawn. We are all the way to right there. So now we're going to draw, back that up, kind of part 1 is getting this shape drawn. Okay, so we should end right here where that blue X is, and this is kind of what we should have drawn. I'll go ahead and switch to red. Next we're going to draw this angle and then go over 0.25, and then we're going to draw a line up, and then we will offset that, our other one. So switching back in, I'm going to draw a line here. It needs to be horizontal and track this way. We'll go over 0.25, and then I'm going to draw a line vertically up with no dimension. So we have that. Our dimension here needs to be 30 degrees. And now our shape's looking pretty good, but it's a little bit out of proportion. So the last dimension we need to add really quick is, if we look up here, the distance from corner to corner needs to be 4 inches. So let's add that 4-inch dimension really quick. We'll go from this line to this line. Needs to be 4, and right now it's at 4.6, so just change that to 4, enter, and you'll see our piece starts coming together, and the dimensions being fully defined, everything's black, it's going to work as we need to, and now we can offset. So we're going to offset this line here. We'll flip the direction, we'll accept the selection, and we're going to make that 1.5, and again, wherever that excess is, we're going to trim and trim. So about now we have about half of our drawing done. We're up to this point here. I'll switch to like a green color now. What I want to do, there's a bunch of different ways you could do it. I could draw this line across the top and then dimension it 5, but I like kind of just, I'm going to draw this line here at an angle, and then come in here, go over, and then we'll draw one down. And we're kind of going to draw that whole thing right now using our tracking, using some other constraints. So we know this needs to be offset 1.5, but that needs to be have an angle of 30 degrees. So we're kind of going to work in reverse. So let's switch back over to Onshape. We'll start right here and work our way up. So the line tool, from this point we'll go, we need to track here. We're going to go up, over, and we'll go down like so. Okay. Now, some things to notice in this drawing. I didn't give this measurement from here to here, or this measurement from here to here. When I give this one in class, I usually will give the kids like a ruler of some, or some straight edge of some sort, and their job is to look at it, and they'll see that if you were to use a straight edge, that line matches this 0.25 down here at the bottom, and that other one matches this 0.5 down here on this side. So this drawing, this line dimension needs to be 0.25, and then we need to give that a measurement of 30 degrees. But right now, our lines right here, are not parallel to one another. So we need to make that happen, and we need to make sure all our constraints stay accordingly. So we'll go ahead and start with making this 0.25, then we'll do our 30 degrees, and then we will add a parallel constraint, and then we'll come back to our drawing. So dimension up here, 0.25. We're going to add here, I want to add that 30 degrees, and now we're going to select these two lines here and say B for parallel, so those work together. I'm going to undo that so you can see kind of what happens. So you'll see Control Z like so. So make those parallel. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make those two parallel. So I'm going to select this line right here and this line right here, press the letter B, or you can come up here and see the parallel line tool right there, and that'll work. And you see how it changed that angle. Now dimension, we're going to click here and here, and that needs to be 1.5 if we look at our drawing there, 1.5. And it shot that guy up, but now we tell it from here all the way down to the bottom, this needs to be 5 total. So everything is locked into place, and a couple of times I'll have students ask, well, how do you know how long that's supposed to be? Or it won't let me change that. So if I were to try to come in here and give that a measurement, it will not allow it based off of everything else we've already given it. So it's now a driven dimension, and I can't actually give it a, it won't even let you click, you double click to change the measurement, it won't let you because it's driven by something else. So we have, let me move all that, we got our 30 degree, we got our 0.25, our 1.5, our offset, everything's there good. Let's switch back over here. So again, we just drew all of this over, and we have down here. So next, I'll switch to yellow. I'm going to draw from here up, go over 0.5, go down, and I don't have a measurement here, but we're going to connect back over here and then give those parallel constraints again. So we'll go back to number 1, back to our drawing. We're going to come up like so. We'll go here. We'll go track to here. That needs to be 0.5. We'll come down and then have those touch. So that's kind of what our shape looks like. However, we need to add that parallel constraint. And you noticed that when I did, let me undo that one, when we went here, it kind of automatically made that a perpendicular. Well, if I have 30, 60, that has to be a 90. So it kind of filled that in for me. But if I didn't do that, let's go back a little bit. If I didn't track that at a 90, and I kind of just went like so, and then went over 0.5. Oh. So if I go over here from here to track with the origin, come back over here, 0.5, you'll see now it doesn't have that dimension, so it didn't lock that constraint in with me. So we'll go here, we'll go here. We can add that parallel constraint, but something I wanted to show you is if you come up here and you kind of activate or highlight something, and then you come back down, once it's glowing, it'll automatically add whatever constraint you see right there. So we zoom in, you'll see it's adding that little parallel constraint. If I were to go perpendicular, you'll see now it's trying to show parallel to there, but if I activate this one, it's like, oh, did you mean parallel or perpendicular to that one? Like so. But what we want is parallel with that one. And we'll say okay. And now I can take these 2 points and we'll press I for coincide, and then it'll make that stuff work like so. So let's zoom out there so we can see what we're doing. Now we got to add those angles. So dimension here to here needs to be 60. Okay. And dimension here to here, we said needs to be 1. And you'll see now, if we go back, everything should match the way we have it. Everything's connected. Everything is full. Let's get rid of all these measurements, these markups. There we go. We have our whole drawing done accordingly. So last but not least, how do you figure out if you did this right? We're going to give you an answer right here. Now this one, I normally wouldn't give the answer on my other practice assignments, but this is kind of a wonky one. And if you're anything like me, the more practice you do, the better you're going to get. And you just want to know that answer just so you can redo it even if you did it wrong. So we're going to check the our area, and if we select our area and you follow me down to the bottom, you should see, let me move, oh my face is in the way. It should be 12.793. I will put that right here really quick. This is your area. It should be 12.793 square inches. So there is your answer. If you did that correctly, that is what your shape should look like, and that is the amount of area or square inches you should have. So kind of a rough little go of things, but this is a pretty cool drawing. And like I said, I used to give this as my number 3 drawing, and I think it kind of messed with a lot of kids' heads. It taught it in my adult class too, and some of the adults, this was the one they're like, I don't want to do this anymore. And I was like, no, stick through it. If you get through this one, you're going to be great. And so if you were one of those who I taught with this one, leave me a comment down below and tell me how you remembered this one, or if you hated this one, or if this made you hate Onshape in general or drafting as a whole. And if you were one of the ones who got it, tell me how easy you thought it was or whatever. So that's going to do it for us. I will post this in the description. I'll give you a PDF copy of this drawing. And if you guys like this kind of format where we're just kind of going through, working on some practice drawings, let me know. I'll work up some other drawings. I know we got homecoming coming up this next week, and so we're going to be swamped. So this is like some good sub-day work, some stuff that the kids can do on their own. But let me know. I'm here for you guys. I love the support that I've been getting. Just got a comment yesterday from a newer subscriber saying that they're exclusively going to learn Onshape through my videos, so that made me kind of happy. So thank you if you're watching. But yeah, look forward to seeing you guys next week, and you guys take care. See you later. Bye.